All right, Tim, I'm very conscious of time, and I know last week we ran out of time, and we want to make the most of these valuable 60 minutes that we have tonight with these amazing guest speakers. So welcome everyone. I'm Luciana Garcia from Sport New Zealand Women and Girls Lead, and I would like to start tonight's session with a karakia to bring us together and to settle us for tonight's kaupapa. Feel free to join me if you wish. Tu taua mai runga, tu taua mai raro, tu taua mai roto, tu taua mai waho. Kia tau au te Māori tū, kia tau au te Māori ora, tutura whakamua kia tina, tina. Homie, huie, tākie. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for this second webinar that we've been hosting in the context of It's My Move. For those that are not aware, It's My Move is a campaign that Sport New Zealand launched 3 weeks ago now, and the aim of this campaign is to encourage and support teenage girls or young women to move their way. With this campaign, we acknowledge that there's some really great work happening across New Zealand, Aotearoa, and some organisations that are leading the way and really thinking about how they engage with young women and how they work with young women when it comes to create and deliver opportunities for them to be physically active. So the purpose of these webinars is to celebrate and to share some of that mahi. So I won't take any more of the precious time, just some housekeeping rules. We would like to see all your lovely faces, but for technical purposes, we'll keep cameras and microphones off. We'll really encourage you to engage through the chat. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, chuck them in the chat. We'll moderate those questions, and we'll share those questions with our guest speakers. If we run out of time, we'll do a Q&A and we'll send that information afterwards. So, you know, the webinar is being recorded because we know lots of people cannot join us 7 o'clock. So the webinar will be available on demand. Enough of me, and I'll pass it on to our amazing co-hosts, Libby and Lily.
Thanks, Lou. Kia ora koutou, ko Libby Davenport tōku ingoa no Timaru aho, kei ihi Aotearoa aho e mahi ana ingari e tēnei wā, kei Christchurch City Council aho e whai whiako ana. Kia ora everyone, my name is Livy. I'm from the mighty Timaru and I work at Ihi Aotearoa, or otherwise known as Sport New Zealand, and I'm on the graduate program. I'm currently on placement at Christchurch City Council where I'm gaining some work experience. So I'm learning heaps there. I'm based in the facilities establishment team and I'm involved in developing activation opportunities with and for women and girls. So loving the mahi that I'm doing, and it's a real privilege to co-host these series, and I'm really excited for tonight's webinar with our friends from Word and Journeys as well. So I'll pass it over to Lily, my colleague as well.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Koko te Maunga, ko Otaki te Awa, ko Joina toku whānau, ko Lily toku ingoa, no te whanganui a tara aho. So as Libby said, I'm one of the other graduates at Sport New Zealand, and I am currently on placement at Sport Tasman down in Te Tauihu, the beautiful top of the South Island, loving the change in temperature from Wellington. And loving getting stuck into some mahi with different rangatahi from different groups and communities. So we'll start off this evening by going through some of the profile insights. So some of you might not know about the Sport New Zealand Young Women profile, but you can find it on our website, and I'll get Lou to drop the link in the chat at some point. But the Sport New Zealand Young Women's profile was completed mid last year, with updated statistics and qualitative research that we conducted through lockdowns and between lockdowns in 2020 across Aotearoa. It seeks to assist organisations to understand the needs of young women and how to support quality experiences in active rec and sport. The profile includes the barriers to participation, what things are important to girls, and it provides 10 key insights or takeaways for providers to act on. These have informed our webinar themes, and helps us dig a bit deeper as we look into some case studies. And tonight, some of the key themes and takeaways that you'll pick up on include for young women, by young women, with young women as leaders, and the power of the sisterhood. So tonight's theme is all around empowering young women to lead their activities, which is backed by the following evidence. Young women's confidence in their abilities decreases through their teens. 75% of 12-year-olds think that they're good at physical activity, compared to only 49% of 16-year-old girls agreeing with that statement. This could be in part due to non-empowering environments, coaches, etc. And when girls are made to believe that they are capable, that they have the skills and ability for the activity, and that they feel a sense of achievement after the activity, they grow more confident. Many comments are around why girls feel uncomfortable or unskilled are due to the pressures from adults who are running the activities and the unwanted competitive vibes that are driven by structure and environment. This suggests that if girls are leading the activity or are involved in creating the structure and the expectations themselves, they might have more confidence in the lead up and with the end result. I'll pass back over to Libby.
Thanks, Lily. So as Lou mentioned earlier, the It's My Move campaign aims to encourage providers of sport and rec to think more deeply about how they go about engaging with our kohine and providing quality opportunities that meet their really diverse needs. So it's really important that we recognise that there are many local providers who are doing an awesome job in this space, and these webinars provide a really great opportunity for us to learn more about the mahi that they're doing. So last week we were lucky to hear from Cricket Wellington's Frankie, who's also joining us again tonight, and Ford Foundation's Kim and Deb. So if you do want to go back and watch those webinars, they are all recorded and popped online. So we'll get someone to pop that link in the chat if you did miss out on that one. But tonight we are really fortunate to hear from two other organisations across Aotearoa who are leading the way in this space, especially focusing on empowering young women to design and lead offerings. So we're going to begin by hearing from Junies, but first let's watch this video case study that gives us a bit of an insight into the mahi they've been doing with their programs for girls. Thanks, Rach. Cool. I could see some comments in the chat saying that some people could see the video and some people couldn't. Lou, do you think we should pop the link in the chat for people to look at later so that we can keep moving forward, or would you like to replay it in a different
Definitely.
format?
We'll pop the link. I don't have my for that. It was working. We tested earlier today, but we'll put the link there. And if we get time at the end, we can replay it at the end. But let's not waste the precious time with Megan.
Awesome. Thanks, Lou. Awesome. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to our first speaker, Megan Longman. So Megan is the co-founder and instructor of Journeys. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Megan. Could you please start by telling us a bit about your role and then dive into the mahi that you do at Journeys?
Kia ora koutou. I'm Megan Longman and I'm a mum of 3. I'm a physiotherapist and the co-founder of Journeys. So in 2018, my friend Kim Froggatt and I began to seriously kōrero about creating something that would increase the number of girls and women discovering the love of outdoor adventure. And we started conversations within our community about how to make this happen. With the support of Penny Smale, Sport New Zealand, Central Lakes Trust, Otago Community Trust, local businesses, schools, friends, and our incredibly supportive families, we now have Journeys. So this evening, I'll just give an overview of Journeys to support what some of you saw in the video, and talk about what co-design means for us and why it's important. And I'll dive deeper into growing self-confidence in young women. Hopefully I can pull it together with a bunch of tangible and practical thoughts you can take away. And if you've keen for any further examples to help understand the concepts, then just add any questions into the chat. So Journeys is a charitable trust established in 2020, and our vision is that young women are empowered through adventure in their local wild places. The program has no cost and we're able to provide all gear that's required. Girls adventure weekly in groups of about 8 with 2 female instructors or an adult instructor and an older student leader. We've got an on-foot season which runs from early April to late June, and a mountain bike season from October to February. The groups head out to explore a range of local wild places around Alexandra, Central Otago, 1 evening a week, including over school holidays to help bridge transitions. The on-foot season, being in autumn and winter, is cold. Some weeks the temperature range could be 0 to 2 degrees. It's dark, so the girls use head torches, and the sharing of kai includes shared thermoses of hot chocolate in inspiring locations. Our mountain bike season, being in the summer, is hot. It could be 33 degrees, and when this is the case, the girls invariably design that adventure to have a generous portion swimming in a local river. The instructors weave a range of teachings into each season. These include outdoor skills such as navigation and learning about land shape, or mountain bike body position. The teachings also include mind skills, for example, acknowledgement of fear, sharing the prevalence of negative self-talk, and strategies to use to help us down-regulate our fight or flight response. So within the Journeys community, we've got small groups of girls and women adventuring all through the hills around Alexandra in the evenings. This coming on foot season, there'll be approximately 60 girls, 14 instructors and 6 leaders out exploring each week. So Journeys is 100% for our girls in our community, and therefore almost all aspects of our program design, inclusions and evolution is done alongside our kohine. We hold facilitated sessions to learn about what the girls value and how they want to grow, what content is needed and how it can be delivered, what balance of skills to adventure and social groups to ability groups they need and want. We co-design weekly on the fly, where we're going, what we're doing, how long. We have a midway check-in where we use a keep, stop, start format to figure out if we're on the right track. The girls from our pilot are now year 11, so we're co-designing our program for older girls with them, recognising that Journeys for 12-year-olds will probably look different to what they need and want now. And all the bits of our leadership program are co-designed, including what their role is as leaders, timing around other commitments, and what they need and want for training. You might be interested to know that a decent training weekend for 15-year-old girls should include things like a murder mystery running throughout, a dress up as fancy as you like dinner in a backcountry hut, and random tasks like tree climbing, as well as surprise incidences threads throughout the weekend that they have to manage. It's happening this weekend, and I'm so proud that the girls now trust us enough to share their amazing ideas with us. Young people are pretty used to being shot down by adults, so don't always share the true scope of their goodness until we've built trust. We believe co-designing gives the girls ownership and a greater sense of belonging within journeys. And if it's for them, designed and improved by them, then they will continue to prioritise being part of it. And this is shown with our very low attrition rates. Hardly any girls are discontinuing unless they've moved out of town or are overcommitted with other sports. For example, if we consider our girls who were year 9 and 10 last year, almost 100% of these 23 girls are continuing to be involved in journeys. There are a couple who just do biking or just do on foot, but so far these 14 to 15-year-old girls are sticking around. And we're working super hard to make sure this is the case, and are 100% committed to let these older girls continue to design and evolve journeys to meet their changing needs. Provided we align to our vision and values, anything goes, and hopefully we've built enough trust so far that they know that. I'll now just dive a little deeper into the big confidence topic, and to acknowledge that the drop-off in teen girls' confidence is not unique to physical activity. In fact, research shows girls' self-confidence begins to drop off from the age of 8, and this is one of the major motivators while Kim and I created Journeys. So at Journeys, we're working super hard to grow girls' confidence to carry over into other areas of their lives. We know that discovering we can do more than we thought we could in one area, for example, navigating accurately to somewhere in the dark, does grow our wider self-worth and self-belief. Growing self-confidence and resilience are two of our main objectives. So we've done a heap of research into what are the essential components of a program that strives towards these outcomes. The literature tells us that we should include things such as a female-only environment, support from whānau, schools and community, prioritising fun, teaching hard and soft skills, progressing difficulty, role modelling and leadership opportunities. It also tells us we need to create a safe and supportive environment where the girls have a sense of belonging. They need to be challenged to experience success and to experience adversity. Challenge, success and adversity are all interconnected, and they 100% rely on an environment in which the girls feel safe to be vulnerable, safe to make mistakes, are supported in their success, and are allowed and encouraged to wallow in their goodness. They also rely on finding the Goldilocks of challenge, not too hard, not too easy, but just right. Let's unravel why this is important and how we can do this. I'll now just invite you all to get involved for a couple of minutes and move your bodies a wee bit by doing a little activity that we use on Journeys related to comfort zones. Can you please stand up and imagine a circle drawn on the ground in front of you, perhaps an oversized hula hoop. Okay, I'm going to throw a few tasks at you, and I want you to think of how comfortable you'd feel doing that task and move your body accordingly. So if you'd be really comfortable, go inside your circle. If it terrifies you, go outside it. If you feel a bit nervous, stand on the edge of it. If it's going to spiral you way into your reptilian brain, fight or flight on overdrive, then perhaps go way to the other side of the room. So, singing in front of your colleagues, downhill skiing a green run, busking outside Paper Plus, doing a half marathon, eating your vegetables. One of our girls actually used that one week. Or presenting on a webinar, taking a gamble on audience involvement. Okay, take a rest. So what we've got here is that different activities are likely to put you all in different location. And if we were all in a room together, we'd all be in different places for different tasks, right? So take a moment to think what would happen to your oversized hula hoop circle if you did one of those inner circle activities. Would it change? What about if you tried one of the over the other side of the room ones? Will that grow it Or perhaps the opposite. And how about when you do one right on the edge of your comfort zone? Like for me, this webinar presentation one. At Journeys, we believe that we get the growth in our personal comfort zone best when we do tasks just on or just beyond the edge of it. We feel some stress, but it's at a level we can down-regulate from. We experience being more capable than we thought we were. We discover more than we thought we could. And in fact, those two statements are direct quotes from two Journeys girls about what they're most proud of themselves for. This helps us to believe in ourselves more and to feel more worthy. And we find this growth in confidence is not just related to the task at hand. So this is just doing better than the let's go outside our comfort zone concept that we're all really familiar with. And that is why this appropriate challenge, success, and adversity matter when it comes to growing confidence. And for the how, the only way we as leaders can help facilitate an appropriate level of challenge for each individual at any moment is to know that person, to have taken the time to connect with them, and to have built trust through the small moments. As a fair generalization, girls will under-challenge themselves. A relationship with a trusted, relatable role model, a supportive environment, can be what will nudge them towards that true edge of comfort zone where the magic happens. And obviously knowing them is a prerequisite for doing this well. Importantly, the challenge is by choice, and the magic is when our girls acknowledge their discomfort, negotiate some adversity, and have the opportunity to feel stoked with who they are and to wallow in this goodness. So just to add some further substance to the how, we can create a safe and supportive environment and provide opportunities for appropriate challenge, success, and adversity. I'll just share some examples of things we're doing at Journeys, and you're welcome to borrow any ideas or to reach out to find out more. So from an organisational level perspective, as well as connection, nurturing is one of our 5 values. It's not glitzy, particularly fashionable, nor outspoken, but nurturing others is an enormous strength of women, and we want to celebrate and align with this. New instructor induction includes learning about the why of our values and how we work within their framework. And our other values are fun, well-being, and adventure. We've got instructor training twice a year, and this day includes an hour or 2 on something about connecting with young people. At our upcoming leadership training weekend, we'll be co-designing how to create a safe and supportive environment with our young women. And this will be shared the following weekend at our instructor training day. We run a kawa, or an it's okay, not okay session near the beginning of the season in every group. And this helps with creating an environment that supports connection, things like phones away, eating in a circle, having some time where we mix up the group, etc. With small ratios, we generally have approximately 1 to 5. Our amazing volunteer instructors are ordinary and inspiring wahine who love adventuring and connecting with young people. And our girls tell us things like, she is the reason I love Journeys so much. She inspires me to do more than I thought I could. With long seasons, so 2 3-month seasons where the girls adventure together weekly, so the instructors really get to know their girls. With lots of unstructured time, so not formal lessons or training, just walking or biking together. So instructors have the chance to get to know the girls and themselves, each other as well. We've taken the pressure off instructors to teach lots, and that holding some short facilitated sessions is great, and equally so is going with the flow and letting the adventure speak for itself. And just a few of the less tangible components of adventure that are so powerful for growing confidence. Shared adventure, there's something about negotiating challenge and unknown outcomes together that fosters relationship building. And because our adventures are created through collaboration within the group, the instructor also doesn't know what's going to happen on that particular evening, so they're all in it together. We're trying hard to get the balance right between building skills and having adventures. We don't have a big focus on ability and skill building and outcomes or performance, which means those with less skills are less likely to feel like they're always the worst, which is a major barrier to confidence in continuing with an activity. We just want to have enough teaching in there so they're improving and can experience success and grow to be capable outdoor adventurers so we can enjoy exploring a range of outdoor places together. We're playing with this balance and continually working it out with the girls. which changes with each group, of course. Ultimately, adventure is where our heart is, and therefore we skill build enough to have adventures. Interestingly, as opposed to conventional sport, the challenge and therefore success on journeys is often with bits of the environment, like a rock or a hill or the weather. Therefore, we can all have our own individual success or not with it. There are lots of opportunities to experience mini challenges and successes along the way, which don't affect the rest of the group as much as would be the case with a team sport. Equally, one person doing amazing things doesn't take someone else's spot in the team. Therefore, we can all be genuinely stoked with each other's achievements. This inherent structure of outdoor adventuring takes the pressure off ability while still allowing challenges and successes to happen. And further to this, as we saw with the comfort zone circle, different people are challenged by different things. The most capable navigator, fittest uphill and confident rock scrambler could be scared of the dark. And the best downhill mountain biker might feel nervous when she needs to be in the front or talk with someone she doesn't know well. And this does a heap for minimizing that I'm no good at this activity barrier. So in summary, we co-design in all the layers of what we do to create ownership and belonging, as well as to ensure Journeys is meeting the evolving needs of our kohene. To grow confidence, we explore how we can facilitate appropriate challenge and enable all our girls to experience adversity and success. We know that a foundation of a safe and supportive environment and a sense of belonging is essential to do this well. Thank you.
Awesome. Wow, thank you so much, Megan. There was so much great information and some really key messages in there, and I won't try to summarize them all, but I think for me personally, I really connected with the importance that you place on relationships and trust and connection, not only among the group of girls, but also with their instructors. That was something that was often kind of underplayed in my experiences when I was younger. So I think it's really fantastic that you are you're putting so much work into encouraging that for these young kohene. I think it's also really clear to see that all of the effort and the thought that you're putting into the way the programs are structured and experienced not only working, it's really clear that that's coming through in the feedback, but also the fact that the girls keep coming back year after year. So I think the work that you're doing is so fantastic, and thank you for sharing. I have one quick question, and we're going to save the others until the Q&A at the end, but I'm really interested in your advice for those who are starting out co-design. So co-design kind of seems like quite new and daunting to some people, so I'm really interested if you have any advice for where to start for those who are keen but not quite sure the first steps to take.
Yeah, and I feel like I can answer that question because co-design is very new to us. Well, Journeys is new, and I mean, I can just remember as well, just thinking, what is this thing? Where do we start? How do we make it happen? We did try early on to have some sessions before we'd really developed relationships with the girls, and that was a lot harder. Now we have these amazing young women who we know and they know us, and that's a lot easier. So if there are people who you know, I have a rough outline of how I might facilitate a session going into it, but I try to keep it as open as I can and not think about where I'd like the outcomes to go, because then I've got no preconceived ideas on it and thoughts on it. Building trust is enormous. What we want is for these girls to share stuff. So as well as, of course, having an environment where they feel comfortable and that they can be vulnerable and can share, they need to have developed trust with us that what they say we're going to listen to and we're going to implement. So if of course, we've got all the constraints of, budget and safety and all the boring adult stuff, but as much as is possible, when they tell us good stuff, let's do it. And that's what I mean by building trust in the small moments.
Fantastic, that's great advice, and I'll take that, put that under my cap as well, because I'm trying to venture into this space and some of the mahi that I'm doing too. So thank you so much. We are going to now look at another great example of empowering females through mountain biking goodness. So I would like to welcome Word, otherwise known as World Off-Road writing department. So first of all, we're going to watch their video, and fingers crossed that this works. We're trying a different presenting mode, so please let us know in the chat if you're having any issues with viewing it. But we're going to hopefully watch this video and hear more about the fantastic mahi that Word is doing for young women in their community.
I'm Eliza, I'm 16 years old and I'm an instructor for Word. I've gained heaps from my time at Word, like I've gained a lot of solid relationships with friends and peers in Word, but also instructors as like older role models.
One of the really cool things that Word's done as an organisation to try and encourage young women to take up leadership roles is making sure that all our girls-only programs are taught by female instructors and female assistant instructors, because it means that they're great role models for those young girls and they can relate to them and understand what it's like to be a woman in mountain biking, and they can really encourage them to step up and take those positions.
You lose a lot of girls from sports when they get like to 13 and 14, and it's often because you get deterred from something if you're like not as good as you want to be. But I feel like with Word and with the other girls coaching, it's less like you have to be the best, but it's more like it's genuinely fun to do with other people as well. If I didn't have Word, I don't think I'd be as active as I am now, because it's something that's like a routine and you like continuously do it and you build fitness and it's really fun to do.
I think what makes Word work as a program for young women is that we make it a priority and that we understand that equal opportunity doesn't always create equal representation. If you don't see people in those positions of leadership, you struggle to understand how you could belong in that environment. And sometimes you can feel a little bit unwelcome because the systems there aren't there to support young women always.
My advice to sports providers about making organisations specifically for women and young girls is, most importantly, the atmosphere surrounding it. I feel like people can be real deterred by a cliquey sort of environment. So if it's always a very open and inclusive environment, people are going to really benefit from that. And I know Word for me has always been really inclusive.
I think that you can't truly understand what it's like to be a young woman in sport unless you are one. So including those girls in those decision makings and the design of those programs is so important. And the idea that you can't be making decisions for young women without young women.
It's really cool that we have this like unity in the group, and I think that's really important for women, because it's like, I feel like society always pushes women against each other, and to have an environment where we can all be friends and all have a shared interest, it's really great.
How amazing was that video? I hope that most of you could see it that time and could hear it well. Please let us know in the chat if you were having any issues, and we can flick you through the link for that again as well. But we are very lucky to have Isla and Ash here today from Word. So Ash Peters is the founder of Word, now based in Wanaka, and has started up Word down there as well. And Isla is the young woman and girls lead back in Welly. Kia ora kora. Could you please start by telling us a little bit more about what your roles are and what Word entails before you dive into all the nitty-gritty details?
Yeah, awesome. Kia ora, everyone. So my name's Ash, and like you mentioned, I am the founder of Word. But originally, it didn't start like that. I'm a mountain bike instructor and come from an outdoor instructing background, and was really passionate about getting young people into the outdoors. And I guess you could be very easily mistaken if you thought by our videos and the chat that we're all having tonight that Word is just an organization for young women. But in fact, Word is for all genders. So created Word back in 2013, and the mission has been to enable growth through adventure. And I really, having Megan chat about all the amazing mahi that's happening in Journeys, it's just so wonderful to see so many connections that we have. So I guess a little bit more about Word is that we are absolutely committed and passionate about creating awesome experiences for young people to build confidence, develop friendships, and foster that lifelong love of riding bikes. In saying that, at the end of the day, yeah, sure, being a good rider is great, but what we're really after is good people. So with that, we firmly believe in our 4 main values, and so those values, as I'm sure you've all been looking at our website, are adventure, and we're incredibly passionate about being in the outdoors. I guess mountain biking has that really unique proposition that, yeah, mountain biking is a sport, but it's also active recreation, and so we fit into these couple genres. Our second value is connection, so it's connection with the environment, but also other people, and then yourself as well. We've got embracing change as our next value. We are really proud to be an adaptable organization. Like mentioned, we've been in Wellington and now in Wanaka, and we're actually also just having a pilot in Christchurch. And then our last one is equity, and this is where our girls focus comes in. So currently, Word has, actually I should say Word started, again, 2013 with 11 girls. And that just so happened that was the girls that I knew from some friends, and I roped them in. And now we have 450 young people riding bikes with us each term. In 3 different regions, Wellington, Wanaka, and Christchurch. So with that group, we've got 80 instructors and 40 assistant instructors. Really proud to have 30% participation in young women and girls, and incredibly passionate about trying to build that to that 50% mark. So I guess for those of you that don't know anything else about what we're doing, we run after school programs and holiday camps, and through that, through those experiences, we're really, I guess we feel really lucky to work with some amazing young people, and one of those is Isla. And now Isla was one of our first original worders, and I really feel like Isla, she epitomizes the word values, and you'll hear from her shortly, but I think it's worth noting that that Isla and I have been on a journey together, that she has been, this has been 9 years in the making, and I think we've really grown both as people, and being able to learn from each other, and really, yeah, grow and have an awesome time. So I'm really excited to hear her chat to everyone now, and I'll leave it to you, Isla. You should take it away.
Thanks. Kia ora, everyone. My name's Isla, and I'm the Young Women and Girls Lead for Word here in Wellington. Basically, what that means is that I get to do a bunch of dreaming and scheming to make Word even more awesome for our young women and girls. And I'm here to share some of the experiences we've had at Word on our journey to connect with young women, and hopefully not make them better writers, but also really amazing young people. So as Ash said, I've been part of Word since I was 11. I actually started out in the term programs in a co-ed program, and I was the only girl in my group at the time. And while I learned a bunch of skills, I never really felt like I belonged. And it got to the point where I told my mum that I wasn't really interested in this mountain biking business and that I'd much rather stay at home. Lucky for me, she said no and kept signing me up. And eventually I got old enough so I could move into the teenage program, where we split into girls only and boys only groups. And going from a space where I was the only girl in my group to one where I was surrounded by other girls was pretty groundbreaking for me. And that group of friends that I made as a teen girl in Word are a large part of the reason why I'm still writing today as an adult. And there was something really special about the vibe in those girls only groups that made the environment really positive and made it feel like it was something that I could belong to. And we've been trying to put our fingers on what creates this magic for a while. And there was a bunch of things that Ash did back then when she was my instructor and that we still do today. So firstly, we're really clear with the kids that our priorities go beyond who can ride the hardest tracks. I remember Ash always put a huge focus on kindness and looking out for your mates and how to get back on your bike after a crash. And this really created a space where you were valued no matter what your skill level was. At Word, we do split people into groups based on what skills they're ready to learn or what trails they want to ride. We make a real effort not to label these groups as the easy group or the hard group, and there's no checklist to move up to the next group. Sometimes we split them based on who's friends with who, and we let the teen girls pick their own groups depending on how they're feeling that day. Even though that could be seen as us taking our foot off the gas when it comes to progression, we find that when you create the right environment, that progression just comes naturally. And you see kids encouraging each other to give things a go and trusting their instructors and feeling less scared of failing. And I guess this is all down to the community we're building, where people feel like there's something they could belong to. And that was huge for me as a kid. After a while in the team program, I became old enough to become an assistant instructor. So at Word, we have assistant instructors, and they're 14 to 17-year-olds who volunteer their time one night a week with a group of younger kids. And with the girls, that creates a really cool environment where the older girls get to share their stoke with the next gen, and the youngest get a big sister figure to look up to. Us instructors are all a little bit jealous because the assistants are definitely cooler than us, but it's really cool because it creates a space for teenagers who might not want to do big jumps or ride expert trails, but they still really want to have a space to be involved and be able to give back in a meaningful way. And it also means that when they do turn 17 and they're old enough to be an instructor, there's none of this question of, oh, but am I really good enough for that? Because they've already been doing it. Since my days as an assistant, I became an instructor, and then I was lucky enough to move up to be a lead, and now I get to be our young women and girls lead. In fact, almost all of the girls that I rode with as a teenage girl as part of Word are now assistants, instructors, or even leads, which is pretty special. But the thing is that these days, the assistants, they're just so good, and we thought, far out, these kids do our jobs better than us, so why wouldn't we let them lead? And we've been working with our young people to design what the future of our programs looks like. And this is so important because I feel like any changes or developments are happening with them rather than to them. Having spent so much time building these relationships between like instructors and kids, we really feel like that trust means that we get the most out of these co-design projects. Last year, we held some focus group sessions, at least partially inspired by Megan and Journey. Thanks. And there were some really awesome ideas flowing. The other thing we noticed is that when you give kids responsibility, they absolutely rise to the occasion. And I've got a couple stories proving just how powerful this is. The first one was from the end of last year. I was taking an after-school program of 10 to 12-year-old girls, and we went to ride a trail called Vertigo. And Vertigo is an expert level trail, and for some of them, it was totally in their stretching zone. For others, they were more comfy on the trail. And it was really awesome to see them showing their mates the lines and encouraging them to give new things a go. And we got to the bottom and one of the girls said, oh, big ups to Capella. You were totally like our mother duck on the way down the trail. And another one said, oh, but we've got an instructor. Isn't she the mother duck? And I was like, nah, I'll be your safety duckling. And I think it's really important for us to remember as coaches or mentors or parents that our role is to guide the kids and make sure they're safe. Like at Word, we love safe and fun, but to let them push each other. And it reminded me just how capable these kids are. The other story I have is from earlier this year. We went on a teenage girl trip to Rotorua. And what was special is this whole trip was co-designed. So the kids were in charge of choosing where we stayed and what we ate and where we rode. And honestly, they smashed it. I was a little bit nervous taking 16 teenage girls to Rotorua riding and camping for 4 days. That's a lot of responsibility, but us instructors totally shared it with the kids and they took it and ran with it. There was one night where we were having some instructor chats and it was getting a bit late and it was suspiciously quiet and we were like, where have all the kids gone? Turns out they'd taken it upon themselves to go to bed at the agreed time. And I don't know about you, but for mostly 13 and 14-year-olds, I thought that was pretty responsible. And we're going to keep on giving the kids responsibility because, as Megan said, they don't get it from adults that often. And ultimately, offering them leadership opportunities continues the cycles of kids being inspired to give back to those younger than them. I'm really excited about what the future of Word looks like for young women and girls. and a little bit scared because the kids are all doing bigger jumps than me these days. And while I'm a little embarrassed that I'm being overtaken by the 12-year-olds, it's really awesome to see them pushing the boundaries of what it means to be a young woman in mountain biking. They're totally normalizing the idea of young women riding expert trails and showing up to races and being as fast as the boys. And what's more is that this next generation of young women are lending a hand to those younger than them, and maybe they'll do bigger jumps still. When we all look back and give each other a hand, we as women in mountain biking can all move forward and we all win. And it's so cool. I really am very proud to be part of something that's bigger than me. And I'm really excited to be on that journey with Ash and the rest of the word whānau. That's all from me. Thanks heaps for listening.
Oh, ka pai e hoa. I was really lucky to be at the filming of that case study, and I totally agree with you that the inclusive environment is just off the charts. Like I was standing there watching these girls from all different abilities, just giving it a go, and I was really jealous actually that wasn't a thing when I was their age. But yeah, amazing. We don't really have many comments in the chat. I think it's because all three ladies have really smashed it with their speeches there and just given the full rundown and all the details anyone could want, which is amazing. So please, if you do have any questions, chuck them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to have to start making things up, which could be dangerous. But I really love that comments in the video and from yourself, Isla, about the importance of representation, and it's kind of along the lines of, if you can see it, you can be it. And I'd love to know from either of you two what the main thing you've noticed since having only women instructors for your girls groups. Like, what have you noticed as a result of that?
Oh my goodness, we've been doing that for ages. Ash, you should go. I haven't been an instructor for that long.
Yeah, I think that was a really conscious decision from day one. It was that women were going to be teaching young women, and I think for me and for the organization, that was deliberate. And yep, it meant that some days there were only 3 girls signed up in that 10 to 12-year-old girls group. And yeah, we took a hit organizationally, financially because of that, but it didn't matter. It's the whole equity versus equality, and it was incredibly important to me that we keep pushing forward with that. And I think we've seen a massive growth we have seen a massive growth in young women and girls participating because of having those women as instructors, and that has filtered down to having this excellent group of assistant instructors that are the next generation. And that definitely filters down. But you have to, I think, as an organization, you have to draw a line and say that this is what we stand for, and so we're gonna do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love how that was just an intuitive decision for you guys. That's really amazing, and something that a lot of other people could learn from. I see Libby's popped back up on the screen, and Megan, feel free to jump back on as well, and we'll just open it to the floor for some more Q&A. And I can see there's a couple more rolling through. So Libby, you go ahead.
Thanks, Lily. We've got a great question here from Mon, asking about, were there any challenges at all that you came across? So I'm going to pose that to both of you, Ash, Isla, all of you, and Megan as well. Who wants to go first? Ash.
Oh, go on. Sure. I think one of the main challenges, we had a couple, obviously there's quite a few challenges going along, but one of the main challenges was the assumption that a girls only group was easier and that you needed to be with the boys to be challenged. And we've fought really hard those assumptions that there's no reason why our girls only group can't be doing just as hard of trails, if that's what you're into. And I think that assumption's been education on parents' part, and then also providing that opportunity, like we were saying before, about like, actually, okay, this is just a smaller group and this is what we're doing, but not caving in to doing that co-ed thing at that time. That would probably be one of our main challenges. I don't know, Isla, Megan, what about you both?
Megan, you're just on mute.
Yeah, challenges, very broad question. I think as an overview, perhaps balance. So what I mean by that is within our groups, the balance of different ability levels and prioritizing. Are we prioritizing that? Are we prioritizing the social connection? Are we trying to do both? And weaving throughout that is when we're trying to do this challenge thing as well. So if we've got a wide range of ability level, how do we make sure that they're all receiving some appropriate challenge? So that's been a challenge for us. And I think also with the balance, like taking care of our people, so taking care of our instructors who are all volunteers, giving back to them what they need to be fulfilled for this, and using their time really wisely. So those would be some challenges that come to mind.
Awesome.
I had a one. Yeah, it's like more of a future challenge for Word, something that we're currently working on, is trying to provide those girls only environments while being inclusive to the rainbow community as well. So we find that, like, we had a couple of comments that splitting our programs into girls only and boys only could mean that there's potentially not a space for someone who doesn't identify as a boy or a girl. And we've been really trying to set the scene where you can join any group where you feel the most comfortable. But that's definitely a journey that we've been going on, is trying to, because we do have that value of equity, is prioritizing these girls only experiences, but also making sure that that environment stays inclusive to everyone, whether you identify as a girl or not. So I don't think we have all the answers in that department, but it's definitely a journey that we're on.
Ka pai. We've got a couple of questions around what should male instructors do when they're working with young girls, and any advice on how to foster a similar environment to having a female instructor, but if it just happens that the instructor is male, or this assistant coach is female, but the head coach is male.
Yeah, I feel like the first question, like, that's an awesome question. I feel like we hear that a lot. We have a lot of amazing men that are mountain bike instructors. In fact, our team is 50-50. So so we have a lot of great guys out there. I think the first question I would have back to those people asking that is, where are the women? You know, and what is your organization doing to build up that capacity? Because I find that, you know, we have to go out there. We had to shoulder tap. We had info nights. We made videos, all of these things to break down what that barrier was for all different kind of women. So so I would put it back on you and say, like, well, is that really a good excuse? Like, come on. You know, I would want to see see us really reaching out to those women. But in saying that, I don't think there's anything, you know, it doesn't mean that men can't foster that kind of environment, but we know from the research that that those role models matter. So so choosing your time when you have men leading that group. So yeah, I'll probably leave it at that. I'm sure Megan and Isla can jump in there too.
I haven't got specific examples of sort of within journeys of that, because we're all women, but I've got lots of examples of just personally adventuring in the outdoors, being a minority with lots of men, and with friends as well. And I think the thing to remember is that there are a couple of things that are inherently and like biologically essential for women, which are that connection in the relationships. And for girls, when you've got that sort of that flood of estrogen, what that directly is doing is making girls more risk adverse, and at the same time, it's making them more like emotionally intelligent. So there's actually, I'm getting all scientific about it, but there's a real good reason why we look at risk differently, we look at fear differently. So making sure you're prioritizing that fun and the connection and the relationship building. And along the lines of that, just being really mindful about some well-meaning advice that we hear all the time, and they think they're being helpful. So things like, it's easy, you'll be okay. Like, we all hear that. However, I don't think this moment is easy. So I can't trust you when you say that. And when I succeed, if you've told me it's easy, that diminishes my achievement. So, you know, we've got some differences, but it all comes down, I think, to still that connection super important for girls and women.
You know, I totally don't think that it has to be exclusive sometimes. Like at Word, like all our term programs are split into boys and girls groups, but we actually run a bunch of co-ed holiday camps. And, you know, like in the real world, like I ride with a bunch of guys and that's super awesome. And I think it's about saying, yes, that's really cool. And how can we provide that girls only experience? So like no kid's the same, right? And for some, they're going to love that co-ed environment. And for some, they're just not going to be that into it. I wasn't that into it when I was 12. And I think it's about how we say, yes, that's awesome. And how do we cater for the girls that actually really doesn't work for? So yeah, having male instructors is awesome. Like older role models, like amazing, go for it. But I think it's really amazing to be able to provide that opportunity to have that female role model as well. So looking at how you can say yes, and what do we do next?
Awesome. Those are really insightful answers from all of you. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer those questions. And thank you to those who popped those questions in the chat as well. So it's time to wrap up now. So thank you so much to Megan, Ash and Isla for joining us tonight. You've shared so many great nuggets of information that I know we'll all take away and apply to our mahi as well. And I hope you don't mind me saying, if anyone on the call does have any questions, let us know and we can share those with our presenters tonight. But I'm sure you can also get in touch with them directly through their various social media channels and their contact emails as well. So if you want to learn more about the It's My Move campaign, here is the Instagram handle on the slide here, and there's also the link to the website as well. You can find so many different things on there, some wonderful articles, podcasts, more case study videos like the ones that we've seen tonight. And we also want to plug the webinar that we have next week. So it's our third and final webinar of the series, and it is focusing on opportunities that focus on well-being and creating safe environments for young women to participate how they want. So we'd love to see you there. We're going to be joined by the Sea Sisters from the awesome Hawke's Bay and also Leslie from Sport Tasman, who is delivering the Kohini Maya program. So we're really excited to hear from some more organisations who are doing epic work in this space next week. So we hope that all of you who joined tonight enjoyed it, learned something new, and maybe it inspired you to go back and do something a little bit different or an extension of what you're already doing in your work. So we will close off with a karakia, so feel free to join me if you feel comfortable, and then we hope to see you all again next week. Tu tawa mai runga, tu tawa mai I raro, tu tawa mai I roto, tu tawa mai I waho, kia tau ai te mauri tū, kia tau ai te mauri ora, tu tura whakamaua, kia tina, humie, huie, tai kia. Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for coming.